The ground trembled beneath a massive steel frame, straining against decades of gravity and geological pressure. On a crisp Arctic morning in northern Sweden, something unprecedented was about to happen. An entire church would be lifted from its century-old foundations and transported 5 kilometers across a landscape that had already witnessed extraordinary transformation. Kiruna wasn't just any town. Nestled above the Arctic Circle, this remote Swedish settlement had been built on an iron ore deposit so rich and vast that the very ground underneath its buildings became both its greatest treasure and most existential threat. The iron mine that had sustained generations of workers now demanded an impossible sacrifice: the relocation of an entire community, including its most sacred landmark. The Kiruna Church stood as a silent witness to this unprecedented urban migration. Built 113 years ago, the white-painted structure with its elegant spire had weathered Arctic winters, economic shifts, and generations of local history. Now, it would become something more than just a building. It would become a symbol of human resilience, literally lifted from its original ground and transported intact to a new location. Engineers had planned this massive operation with precision that bordered on surgical. A 600-ton church would be carefully separated from its foundation, mounted on specialized trailers, and moved at a glacial pace of less than a mile per hour. The journey wasn't just a technical challenge. It was a profound metaphor for human adaptation in the face of environmental and economic pressures. Local residents watched with a mixture of reverence and disbelief. For them, this wasn't just a structural move. It was the physical embodiment of their community's survival strategy. The church represented more than wooden beams and architectural design. It was a repository of collective memory, a landmark that had watched over births, deaths, marriages, and countless personal stories across more than a century. The mine's expansion wasn't a sudden decision, but the result of decades of careful geological assessment. Iron ore had transformed Kiruna from a small Arctic settlement into a critical economic engine for Sweden. But this transformation came with an unimaginable cost: the gradual erasure of the town's original landscape. Streets, homes, and now even the church would be relocated, redrawn like lines on an ever-changing map. As the church began its slow, deliberate movement, it carried with it the weight of generations. Each inch traveled represented not just physical distance, but a testament to human innovation, the ability to preserve cultural heritage even when the very ground beneath our feet becomes unstable. As the massive church inched forward, engineers monitored every millimeter of its journey with laser-precise instruments. The 670-ton structure balanced precariously on specialized steel trailers, its wooden frame creaking with centuries of memory. Underground geological maps flickered on computer screens inside mobile command centers, tracking potential risks with mathematical precision. Every movement was calculated, every potential structural stress anticipated. The iron ore mine that threatened Kiruna's existence was more than just an industrial operation. It was a relentless geological force, reshaping entire landscapes. Massive excavation tunnels stretched kilometers beneath the surface, creating invisible caverns that could collapse entire city sectors without warning. Local geologists had warned for decades that the town's very foundation was becoming increasingly unstable. The church's relocation was not just a preservation effort, but a critical survival strategy. Generations of families had been baptized, married, and buried under this church's sacred roof. Some elderly townspeople wept silently, understanding that this move represented more than architectural preservation. It was a metaphorical transplantation of collective memory. Photographers and documentary makers captured every angle, knowing they were witnessing an unprecedented moment of urban transformation. This wasn't just a church being moved. This was a community's soul being carefully transported into an uncertain future. Technically, the relocation was a marvel of modern engineering. Hydraulic systems carefully lifted the entire structure, maintaining its structural integrity with millimeter-level precision. Specialized computer algorithms calculated weight distribution, ground stability, and potential stress points in real time. The church moved slower than a typical walking pace, approximately 0.3 kilometers per hour, ensuring minimal structural strain. Underneath the church's visible movement, a deeper narrative unfolded about human adaptation and resilience. This wasn't just about relocating a building. It represented an entire community's ability to reimagine its future while honoring its past. The iron ore mine, the very economic engine threatening the town's existence, paradoxically funded this extraordinary preservation effort. Workers who might have been responsible for potentially demolishing historical structures were now carefully ensuring the church's safe passage. Local historians noted that Kiruna's church had already survived multiple transformations since its construction in 1912. From witnessing the town's initial industrial boom to experiencing Sweden's dramatic social changes, this structure had become more than a religious building. It was a living historical artifact. The church wasn't just moving. It was writing another chapter in an ongoing story of survival and reinvention. Its current journey symbolized humanity's persistent ability to protect cultural heritage, even when environmental challenges seem insurmountable. The iron ore mine's inexorable expansion wasn't just a geological challenge, it was an existential threat to Kiruna's entire urban landscape. Geologists had been warning for decades that the underground tunnels were slowly destabilizing the entire city's foundation, creating a ticking time bomb beneath the community's feet. Each centimeter represented a delicate dance between human technological prowess and architectural preservation. The ground was literally being hollowed out, creating massive caverns that could potentially trigger catastrophic structural collapses at any moment. Engineers calculated that approximately 90% of Kiruna's original city center would need to be completely relocated, making this church's movement just one critical piece of an unprecedented urban migration. The church, standing as a silent witness to generations of local history, now became a symbol of resilience against industrial transformation. Its relocation wasn't just a technical marvel, but a profound statement about human adaptability in the face of environmental disruption. The technical complexity of moving a 113-year-old stone structure weighing over 670 tons was staggering. Specialized engineering teams developed intricate plans involving massive hydraulic jacks, custom-built trailers, and precise GPS tracking to ensure the church's structural integrity during its 5-kilometer journey. Every bolt, every stone, every historic architectural detail needed to be preserved with surgical precision. The move would require multiple days, with the church traveling at less than 1 mile per hour, a crawling pace that emphasized the delicate nature of the operation. For many, this wasn't just about moving a building. It represented the systematic dismantling of their generational community. Families who had worshipped in these halls for decades now confronted the stark reality that their entire urban ecosystem was being systematically reconstructed to serve industrial priorities. The church's migration became a powerful metaphor for broader societal transformations happening across industrial regions worldwide. Interestingly, the church's relocation also represented a profound technological triumph. Modern engineering had advanced to a point where entire historical structures could be carefully transported without significant damage, preserving cultural heritage in the face of seemingly insurmountable environmental challenges. The hydraulic systems, precision measurements, and carefully calculated weight distributions demonstrated humanity's growing capacity to intervene in complex architectural preservation efforts. Kiruna's story transcended a simple architectural move. It embodied a larger narrative about humanity's relationship with industrial progress. The church, standing resolute and unbroken, symbolized community resilience against massive technological and environmental pressures. Its journey represented more than physical transportation. It was a testament to human ingenuity, cultural preservation, and a remarkable ability to adapt complex social structures in response to changing environmental realities. As the church descended onto its new foundation, something profound shifted in the collective memory of Kiruna. This wasn't just a relocation, it was a resurrection. The massive 670-ton structure, lifted inch by careful inch, represented more than architectural engineering. It embodied the soul of a community, refusing to be erased by industrial ambition. The local residents watched in collective reverence as generations of memories traveled alongside the church. Baptismal fonts, centuries-old wooden pews, and intricate altar decorations remained undisturbed, preserving the sacred continuity of their spiritual landscape. Each millimeter of movement was a defiance against the iron ore mine's destructive potential, a silent statement that community transcends physical boundaries. Remarkably, the church's journey became a metaphor for human resilience. Just as the building had survived multiple transformations, so too had the people of Kiruna adapted to extraordinary circumstances. Their willingness to transplant an entire sacred structure, rather than abandon their cultural heritage, spoke volumes about collective identity. Technological precision met historical preservation in this extraordinary moment. Specialized trailers, hydraulic systems, and meticulous planning ensured that every architectural detail remained intact. Engineers had calculated not just the physical movement, but the emotional weight carried within those hallowed walls. Each stone, each wooden beam represented a narrative thread connecting past generations to their present reality. The relocation wasn't just about saving a building. It represented a broader human impulse to preserve meaning against overwhelming industrial forces. In an age of rapid technological transformation, Kiruna's church stood as a powerful symbol of cultural continuity. The mind might consume their original landscape, but it could not consume their spirit. Its journey demonstrated that communities can reimagine themselves without losing their essential character, that roots can be transplanted while maintaining their fundamental integrity. As twilight descended on the newly positioned church, something magical happened. The golden light caught its weathered stones, creating an almost ethereal glow that seemed to whisper ancient stories of survival and adaptation. This wasn't an ending, but a profound new beginning, a testament to human creativity and determination. For those fascinated by extraordinary stories of resilience, community transformation, and architectural marvel, make sure to subscribe to our channel. Each video we create peels back another layer of human ingenuity, revealing narratives that challenge our understanding of what's possible. Click that subscribe button and join us on this incredible journey of discovery.